This is one of the biggest recruiting weekends in Nebraska football history. The Huskers are hosting the Buffaloes this Saturday, but also of importance, multiple 5 and 4-star prospects will be in Lincoln. So in today's video, I'm going to go over every single one of those prospects. Who are they? What are they bringing to the table? What's their interest in the Huskers? And then we'll go over some surprise additions to that list. So really quick, we have a lot to talk about in today's recruiting update. Make sure to hit that like button if you're fired up. And hey, if you're new to the channel or just a returning viewer, make sure to subscribe. I post daily Nebraska football, and I'm not slowing down anytime soon. So if you're a diehard fan of this program, hit that subscribe button to not miss anything this season. But let's get into it, talking about Nebraska's huge recruiting weekend versus the Colorado Buffaloes. And this is just such an important game. Yes, you want to win this. Yeah, you're playing against one of your biggest rivals all time, Coach Deion Sanders coming to town. But there are some massive recruiting implications going on. We can sit here and hype up a big recruiting weekend in June, July, in the spring. But what really matters are these game day visits, because these recruits, they see the stadium, they see the team, they see the fan base. And for that reason, opinions start to get swayed. And a lot of these guys who are currently committed to other schools or considering other schools, if Nebraska can win, they're going to be locked in on the Huskers. And not only that, this weekend in particular, there's going to be multiple current Nebraska commits on campus. The peer recruiting is going to be insane. Raiola, of course, will peer recruit these guys. The crowd is going to be the loudest we've ever seen at Memorial Stadium, and they're going to hopefully see a winning product on the field. So this game in particular, Nebraska's been trying to load up, and they did just that. And if you can win, you can get the majority of the guys I'm about to talk about. So with that being said, let's get into it, talking about the prospects on campus this weekend. Let's start it off with the 5 stars. Michael Terry is back. So the number 1 athlete in the class of 2025 down to us, Texas, and Oregon will be on campus for what looks like the last time this weekend to check us out versus Colorado. He's planning visits back to Oregon and Texas as well, but Nebraska will be the first on his stop. And like I've said in the past when it comes to Michael Terry, the longer this recruiting process goes on and drags out, I like our odds more and more. Listen, Texas, who is currently the favorite, just got another 5-star wide receiver commit. They have 2 in this class. That's a little bit concerning if they also want to get Michael Terry, because I'll tell you what, if Michael Terry goes to Texas, he probably won't find the field for a year or two. And he's such a good player. He is incredible. That just tells you how phenomenal that Texas wide receiver core is. Now, compare that to Nebraska. If you were to go to the Huskers, he would be in the mix to start from day one, to be one of the best wide receivers in the country from day one. And I think he really gravitates towards that. Not only that, but he really likes Nebraska's coaching staff. He feels like they're genuine, unlike some other programs. He likes the way that the Huskers will possibly utilize him in this offense. So I think Nebraska really has a good opportunity. It's all about, again, getting that NIL situated as well. But I think Nebraska, the longer this goes on, the more I like our odds. And you got to win this Saturday to impress him even further. Dawson Merritt, 4-star defensive lineman / linebacker out of Kansas, will be on campus as well. I talked about that in one of my recent videos. This is huge. Again, currently committed to Alabama. It was down to the Crimson Tide and the Huskers earlier this summer. But that recruiting process, like I told you 2-3 weeks ago, and people called me crazy, is not over. He's still considering Nebraska. He's still going back to a lot of the original reasons why he liked them. The fact that they're close to home, that Coach Rhule is going to get him to the NFL, among a couple others. Those reasons don't go away overnight. So he still likes Nebraska. Do not be surprised if the Huskers win this ball game, continue to win. He could really, really reconsider Nebraska and possibly flip. So watch out for Dawson Merritt. And then Cortez Mills, I talked about him in yesterday's video, current Oklahoma commit. But they have a rule that if you're committed to Oklahoma, you can't visit anywhere else. Just put it out there. He's a 4-star wide receiver. He'll be on campus as well in the class of 2025. So I talked about those guys all summer long. You should be familiar with basically all of them if you follow this channel. But let's talk about the 2020. Actually, I want to mention one more in 2025. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. Christian Jones will be back on campus, the number 1 player in Nebraska, 4-star linebacker. He was on campus last weekend versus UTEP, but he'll be on campus for Colorado. So, all right, that's one more in the class of 2025. You know him too. Now let's get to the class of 2026 and some of the big players who will be in Lincoln. Five-star Jackson Cantwell, the number 2 player in the class of 2026. The number 2 player, like I just mentioned. Again, he's a 5-star tackle out of Missouri. He is the real deal. And from what it looks like, he's down to Nebraska, Alabama, Georgia, and Missouri. He's taken some game day visits over there. Nebraska is the first on his list. And I really like our odds. Now, I've talked about him in the past as well. Of course, he has some Nebraska connections. His mom actually grew up in Crete. And for that reason, he grew up around the program, grew up rooting for the Huskers, and he said in past interviews that he believes Coach Rhule is, quote-unquote, bringing the Huskers back. Strong words from a guy who's considering the Huskers. So Jackson Cantwell, I believe that he wants to be different. He wants to leave a legacy. If that's the case, go to Nebraska, but this is a big weekend for him. 5-star Brandon Arrington, the number 1 athlete in the class of 2026 out of California, will be visiting Nebraska once again. He was in campus in late July, and he loved it. He said he has a very tight-knit connection with Tony White, with the whole defensive coaching staff. Nebraska is recruiting him to play DB. He also said he loves Nebraska's history. He loves what we're doing as a program, loves the culture. And I'll tell you what, with a guy like Brandon Arrington, who cares about Nebraska's history, who cares about their tradition, if you are going to beat a longtime rival in front of him, that's going to move mountains. That's going to be huge in his recruiting process. So once again, beat Colorado, you can land a lot of these prospects. A couple other guys here in the class of 2026. This is a name you might not know, really sprouted up recently. Semelu Utu, 4-star tackle out of California. He has offers literally from all over the country. Alabama, Michigan, Georgia, Penn State, Ohio State, name a program. He has an offer from them. Here's the interesting thing about Semelu Utu. He's high school teammates with TJ Lateef, current Nebraska quarterback commit. That is huge. And if you can keep TJ Lateef in this class, which I believe they will, you're going to land a guy like Semelu to block him on his blind side. So this is massive. Again, he's listed at 6'5", 300 pounds, complete mauler, really, really good, talented prospect, another Polynesian kid, and he will be on campus, I believe, for the first time versus Colorado. One more guy I want to mention, Jaden McGregory, the number 1 player in the class of 2026 for Iowa, will be on campus once again. This guy's 6'2", 180, do-it-all safety. Again, you could put him at free safety, strong safety, rover. You could put him at cornerback. You could put him in the nickel position. So really like Jaden McGregory, another guy who has a very good connection with Tony White. And Nebraska has had a lot of success recently getting the number 1 players from Iowa. Let's see if we can do it again. Just steal some guys from the Hawkeye State and bring them over to Lincoln. So huge recruiting weekend. One more guy I want to mention, I'll just throw him out there, Devin Walker, one of the best running backs in the class of 2026, top 100 prospect. He will be on campus, really, really shifty, out of Missouri. So a bunch of guys as well. Again, I'll just go over some other names. Caden Jones, 4-star running back. Mike Brown, 4-star wide receiver. Caden Cobbs, 4-star safety. 4-star Hunter Higgins, defensive lineman. 4-star quarterback Michael Clayton. 4-star wide receiver / tight end Isaac Jensen, 3-star safety James Dugington, and then Hudson Parliament, 4-star offensive lineman. That's my guy. He will also be on campus. So it's stacked, to say the freaking least. And if you want to get these guys, if you want to leave a lasting impression, win this football game and win it by a margin. All of these prospects, they know about Colorado. This isn't some random opponent. They're familiar with Colorado, with Deion Sanders, with Shedeur, with Travis Hunter. Whether they like him or not, it's up to these recruits, but it would leave a lasting memory in these kids' head if you were to go out there and not only beat Deion Sanders, but annihilate him in front of 90,000. That's cheering the loudest we've ever seen at Memorial. You should get fired up. Not only about Nebraska victory, but what this could mean for Nebraska recruiting, which is the future of this program. So, all right, guys, let me know down below. Are you fired up about this recruiting weekend for the Huskers? Which one of these guys I just mentioned, who do you want the most? Do you want Dawson Merritt the most? Michael Terry? Let me know in the comment section. Hey, if you made this far in the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And as always, folks, go Big Red, go Bet Rhule, and see you the next one.